it's Gothy, and I was actually going to film this a bit earlier, but by the time I actually got home, I was exhausted and just lay down, slept, did not want to bar of anything. Um, so today has been one of those days where it's just been up and down, good and bad, and yeah. So to start with, had to go into the city today. I had a field trip for my TAFE class, and we had to go into the Downing Centre Court. I'm still unsure of why we had to go all the way into the city just for this, because we have a courthouse in Penrith, a couple suburbs over, one in Parramatta, a couple suburbs over, and we have one here in Mount Druitt. So, yeah, but we pretty much just, we got to sit in on some sentencing happening, which for local court isn't very exciting. It's usually just things like, all right, well, you've got to attend this, and you've got to attend this, and you've got to do this. Pretty basic stuff. And it's for the smaller sort of court cases, like minor assault charges and stuff like that, minor theft. Well, there we had to sit and listen to these two people who work for Shopfront, they're a legal service for youth. They work with people up to the age of 25, and they are a pro bono legal service for people who are in crisis, so people who are homeless and just, all over the place, abuse victims and stuff like that. So, that's really cool, like, they do a good thing. But I still don't know why we had to go all the way into the city to sit and listen to them when we could have done it here in Mount Druitt. They could have come to the TAFE, especially because they were sitting there and they were saying, oh, we don't really have a geographical barrier. They work out in Mount Druitt, they work out in Campbelltown, they work all over Sydney, so that was kind of annoying because it was a lot of effort. It's just been like, listen, it's been one of those days. Almost missed the train, had an incident with a bump in the road while I was drinking water, so I had to go home and change. And then got to the station, and as there was one disability spot left, and as we were circling around to get to it, someone else parked there. That someone else ended up being someone I went to high school with. He was someone who used to make fun of me behind my back, like even going so far as like taking screenshots of like my MySpace profile and stuff, and like writing all these horrible things all over it and stuff, and passing it around everyone because he thought I didn't know. And it's like, come on. But he recognized me, and he just had this, superior sort of fucking grin on his face because I used the wheelchair, and I just wanted to just deck him. Like, yeah. So he's probably run around and he's probably telling everyone, oh my god, I saw this person today and she's in a wheelchair, and oh my god, oh, how hilarious is it? Ugh. Train went alright, getting on the train. Got into the city. Sydney buses is actually more of a pain in the ass to deal with than trains are. And then I have some footage from the train, which I'll put in here in the video somewhere, either before or after this. I don't know, whatever. I have to get it off my phone first. So then, got in there. I got on a bus. Like, we have a website that tells you, okay, you gotta go here, alright, you should get a bus from this spot, and it'll go to here. So I went to where that said, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, we don't actually stop at that particular stop. You want this one? You want the one that's up around the corner and up a hill? Huh, no. So, like, oh, we'll just jump on any of these buses that are stopping over here and ask them to drop you off on the first one. So I asked the first bus didn't go that way, so second bus was just like, oh yeah, no, I'm stopping at, Liverpool and Elizabeth Street. I was like, oh, okay, sweet. But he stopped basically right in front of Museum Station, which is the closest train station to the Downing Centre Court, but it's not wheelchair accessible, so that's why I had to go from Central. So I got to the courthouse. I didn't end up being as early as I had thought because the buses kind of screwed me around a little. But I got there, so got in there. I had some cross stitching with me, so I did that for a bit. They let me take my cross stitching in with me, like the scissors and the needle and stuff. So, that wasn't an issue. We sat in on the sentencing for a bit. Then we went and sat down and listened to people talk for like 2 hours, and then that was it. So by the time I got outside, everyone else had sort of disappeared. I don't know. They probably went just straight to Museum Station and went home. So I was like stuck by myself, and the easiest way to get home was to go downhill to George Street and get a bus up to Central. And because it dropped me off on the opposite side of Central than I'd been in the morning, I decided to set myself a challenge. So I was pretty hungry, hadn't really eaten much. So I decided to wheel my way to Harry's Cafe de Wheels on George Street. And I did it. I got there. And then I decided to go from there to Basement Books, which is sort of in between Harry's Cafe de Wheels and Central Station. But to get there, I basically had to go from Harry's Cafe de Wheels down to the corner, cross, up, down this giant hill, and then there's Basement Books. Went around Basement Books, took my time. Basement Books is not super wheelchair friendly. Then their aisles are very narrow, but I can get around in there. It just means that other people can't get around me, sort of thing. So I had to be mindful of other people. I actually didn't buy anything there. There are a few things that caught my eye, but I just wasn't feeling it, you know. So I left. I got on the train. Well, actually, I had to go around to the opposite side of Central Station to get the train. Thankfully, they've actually upgraded a whole bunch of Central Station. So now there's actually ramps and stuff where it used to just be stairs. So I actually managed to get video of me going around Central Station to get to the lift to get up to where I needed to be. But because that took me about 5 minutes, which is not bad. I mean, I think that's pretty good, considering I'm still fairly new to using the wheelchair. Yeah, and then I missed the train, so I had to wait for the next one. The train was not a fun experience. We have some older model trains that come out west, and compared to the newer trains, they aren't the best for wheelchairs. The newer trains, there are actually 3 seats at the top that fold up, and that's the wheelchair space. Because our trains have 2 doors on each end. You go in, there's usually a few seats and like a small standing area, and there's like an upstairs with seating and a downstairs with seating. So this train is an older train, it's a Tangara. So it's got both doors, and up and a down, and they've got the seats as well, but the seats don't move. So what they usually do with those ones is they put people with wheelchairs into the security carriage, because in the middle of the trains, our trains are usually 8 carriages, so in the middle 2, there are there's 2 spots where you can't just walk through to the next carriage, and that's where the some of the train controllers stand and they do their thing in there. So they have the door, and you go in, and there's a small standing area, but there's no seats or anything. Usually, they put their wheelchairs and stuff in there because we can sit up against the wall, sort of out of the way. No big deal. When I got on the train, there were some people standing along the wall. I did ask if I could just move in, and they wouldn't let me. So I had to sit next to the stairs, because you have a wall and then you have 2 poles for people to hold on to, and there's a small space, and then stairs to get up and down. So I had to sit in front of the poles, and I tried to be as close to the poles as I could. I couldn't get my wheelchair in between the poles, there just wasn't enough space. I did everything I could to be out of the way. Unfortunately, I did have some people who started up with me just carrying on. Oh my god, you shouldn't be traveling when there's other people traveling and stuff. You just take up too much space. How dare you? And I had one guy who got so aggressive and so shitty, carrying on. You take up so much space, you shouldn't travel during peak hour, what's wrong with you? And I just turned around and said, I'm sorry, but I have every right to use public transport when I need to get around too. It's not just for able-bodied people. Secondly, I don't have a choice in where I get put when I'm on a train. They put the ramp down, I go up the ramp, and that's where I've got to stay. Because otherwise I can't get off the train. If I try to move, I can't get off the train again. So, the difference here is that you, as an able-bodied person, can walk downstairs or upstairs, you can go through to the next carriage, you can move, you can choose to be somewhere else. I can't, so fuck off. He tipped his coffee down my back. So, I had to go most of my trip with coffee down my back and on my wheelchair and stuff, so I've gone over my wheelchair now. I can't smell coffee anymore, so hopefully it's all gone. But I was not happy. I was absolutely livid. So when I was sitting there and I checked my emails afterwards, I saw that Ladybird Stitcher had racked me a chart from Heaven and Earth, and that sort of perked me up a bit too. And yeah, so just fixing my noodles up, because I need a snack. I have not eaten enough today for the amount of wheeling I did. So, noodles. Yeah, so it wasn't a very. It's been like an up and down day. I don't know if my parents forgot about my birthday and Facebook reminded them this morning, or whether they remembered last minute. But they did eventually remember. I got a message. I got Facebook wall messages from them both, and then they put some money into my account, and my mum got me a slow cooker, which is really cool. I've been wanting a slow cooker for ages, but yeah, I won't be seeing them or anything like that. So tomorrow I have TAFE again. I have the legal and ethical class, so it's not a very fun, exciting class. And we pick up my birthday cake tomorrow. We're doing a burrito and cake night on Friday. So the cake will just go sit in the freezer because it's a ice cream cake. And I also got some stash that arrived today too. Someone was selling some of these Brooks Books patterns. So they're the little Halloween ones. So these ones I believe you do on perforated paper. So, because I was looking at getting them up for a little while, but it turned out to be quite expensive because they use beads and Krennics and stuff too, I believe. Yeah, they use Krennics and stuff. And beads. And the perforated paper. So, it got a little expensive, but someone was selling these for $2 each. So, I figured, hey, I might get them and I'll have a look and see if I can actually just put them on, whether they would work on just fabric or plastic canvas or something. So, yeah, got some little stashy bits. And then, yeah, the rack from Ladybird Stitcher, which I have to get out of my emails. So now I'm going to have some noodles, chill out a bit. I was supposed to get up for a raid at 8, but I crashed out when I got home. I had a shower, laid down, and I just, no. And yes, see if they'll let me in late. Which, maybe they will, maybe they won't. If not, I'll just play WoW for a bit anyway. So, I'll see you guys later.